And it looks like we lost it again, but we are live here in our Facebook group, and I'm excited to be here with B. We have a beautiful conversation today about what we call "Take the Power Back: The Observer Perspective." And if you are seeing this on various social media, know that we have a private online community on Facebook. So if you would like to join our community, you can go on Facebook and do a search for Loving Without Boundaries, Healthy Open Relationships, and Lifestyle Freedom. And there'll just be a short little 3 questions for you to ask there to come join our community. And we invite you to look at the guidelines to see how to continue to stay a part of our community. And with that, I'm excited to be here with B. So we have a beautiful topic for you today that I'm going to let B get us started with, but I'm really thrilled. And I want to make sure that we also talk about how this relates to what if you are practicing some form of alternative relationship structures, whether that's open relationships, consensual non-monogamy, polyamory. Know that this is very empowering to have this topic come up. So I'm going to let B start us off, and I'm excited to have this conversation with you, B.
Yeah, Kerry, I couldn't agree with you more that this is a really empowering topic, what exactly the observer perspective is and how can that elevate our life experience. It's something that I would say that one of the most important skills that I built up for myself, and that had a really positive ripple effect in all areas of my life, including my CNM relationships. So it's really close to my heart to bring this topic with you, to you, with the intention that it can support you on your polyamorous path as well. So I want to start out with a brief definition of what the observer perspective is. So it's basically something, it's a place in ourselves when we're able to create some distance between the stories that are in our head, the stories that may or may not be true actually about a certain event that's going on in our life, and create some space from emotions as well. What it's not, what is on the opposing end is when we fuse with our emotions in a way that we might perceive that my emotion equals the truth. For example, I perceive based on my belief system and my triggers that abandonment is happening. I'm being abandoned, I'm being criticized, I'm being judged, and I fuse with the experience that this must be the truth. This is exactly what's happening. Or it can mean over identification as well, if you're not in the observer perspective. Instead of saying that I'm having this experience, I feel poorly about myself, or right now I feel anger over something that my partner did, we might say that they're a bad person or I'm a bad person. So why I put these two together, like take our power back and the observer perspective, because on the opposing end is when we fuse with our experience and the disempowering stories and beliefs and our triggers, what happens is we might lose our choice. We might be completely at the mercy of our emotions, and not only feel really disempowered inside, feeling sadness, anger, frustration, but also we might act it out in a way that can be really destructive to our relationships. I want to demonstrate you this through a very recent example of mine. This happened throughout this week. Despite my better judgment, I was curious and I read comments about an article on polyamory. There was a lot of attacks coming up, judgment, criticism, and I suddenly felt all sorts of emotions coming up inside of me: sadness, disappointment, frustration, anger. And I also felt an impulse of attack coming up, that I want to defend the position. I want to defend my position. I want to stand up for the people who embrace the non-monogamous lifestyle, and I want to fight back, and I want to tell these people like what to do with their opinion. So this is when, yeah, exactly. This is when the observer perspective kicked in, that I've been practicing for over 3 years now. And it started with me noticing what happened, that I got really badly triggered. So that was it, on a scale between 1 to 10, it was a trigger of 9.5.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is how hard those particular attacking and judging, criticizing comments hit me. And I asked myself, okay, what is it that I really want to happen? So the observer perspective, me noticing what happened and stopping myself, opened me up to asking empowering questions of myself. So what is it that I want? I set up a boundary, a really healthy, strong boundary with myself, that I will not engage with this particular drama because I deserve better. I deserve that. I won't circulate, I won't pump stress hormones into my body, because I know from really bad experiences of my living with anger issues for 2 decades what anger can do to my body. So no, this is not something that I will be engaged with. The next step for me was, in this observer perspective, is what would I like to feel instead, not making the comments right, but simply what would I prefer to have as an internal experience? Is it peace of mind? Is it neutrality? And I went for feeling neutral as much as possible in this particular situation. So the next empowering question was, okay, what do I need to focus on in order to feel that particularly feel more neutral? So I made an empowering choice by being in the observer mode to focus on those people, the love for those people who embrace and choose the consensual non-monogamous lifestyle. And with that, within a few minutes, I was able to create an entirely different experience. The comments still stayed there, and they kept coming, they kept scoring on my screen, but I stayed neutral, and I embraced the life that I have. I embraced this community, the Loving Without Boundaries community, and my work with these beautiful and amazing people in the community. And this is all happened within the observer perspective, instead of me going down in that path of responding to the comments in a passive aggressive or really open, launching an open attack way, and possibly creating a really unpleasant experience for myself for days on end.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for vulnerably sharing that story. And I think it's a really relevant story in today's world, because polyamory is having a moment in terms of there are many articles, there's many TV shows that are really highlighting polyamory and consensual non-monogamy and open relationships right now. And we are kind of a pioneer of that conversation by being people that have been in this space. The Loving Without Boundaries community has been around since December 2012. So for quite a while now, which is unbelievable. And so there is still this, there is a lot of stigma, there is a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of lack of awareness and tolerance of people choosing to live their lives in a way that works best for them. And we are at a particular moment in time where there are some people that may be simply curious and want to know more, or open to being accepting to live and let live. There are also lots of other people who are maybe in the dark and in the shadows, and who maybe are reacting in ways that are not very healthy and can actually be very hurtful. So I really appreciate you being so vulnerable, be just sharing that. Just even looking at those comments really put you into a disempowered state. And I love this conversation about the observer perspective, because we can definitely get into what we can call like a victim mindset, or looking at it from a victim perspective of everything's hopeless, this is happening to me, which can create a lot of drama inside of our own body and psyche, but also drama inside of our relationships. Like, you could have went into attack mode, like you said, and that would have just kind of drummed up a lot more drama. But instead you were able to go into that observer perspective. And I like to say that that's sometimes kind of being able to look outside yourself in a positive way, and to watch what's going on from like a factual place, instead of any narratives or disempowering stories we might be telling ourselves. And I often say to be able to think about what you're thinking about, so that you can be objective about it and figure out, where are these emotions coming from? Why am I feeling angry in that example that you gave? And to be able to unpack that and then move over into, how do you actually want to feel? So I think that was a beautiful example, B. So thank you for vulnerably sharing that.
My absolute pleasure, Katie.
So how else do you think that this can show up in when you think about like toxic and painful patterns? that can show up in relationships. What are some other ways that you see that showing up, B?
Yeah, absolutely. So I already talked about some of the individual consequences, like as you said, Kiri, we enter into that victim mindset, feel all sorts of disempowering emotions, pump stress hormones into our body that can have long-term health effects as well. But when it comes to relationships, what can happen is that we enter into those lose-lose situations with our partners, when the aim can be an unintentional, unconscious aim that I want to get safe, I want to be right, I want to have control. So we basically keep butting heads with each other, become get into an adversarial position with each other behind enemy lines, instead of being equal leaders and stakeholders in a joint enterprise, which is our beautiful relationship that we so much cherish. So in this particular stance, when we're enemies with each other, boundary setting, getting our needs met, going to spaces where we can deeply and beautifully, vulnerably connect with each other can be really difficult or nearly impossible. And what else can happen, which sadly I often see, is the past can become the present. So we don't respond to the present situation, to the person in front of us, but we can get stuck in our 5-year-old, 7, 12-year-old, 21-year-old, and so on self, and bring the past into the present and have those really strong flashbacks as if we relive the past and not connect with the person in front of us. We miss cues of them that they want to connect. We don't respond appropriately. We don't communicate from our best version, which really breaks the connection for the time being, creates fractures in the relationship. And if it gets unresolved, it can grow up into a real volcano that just gets unresolved and keeps breeding resentment and contributes to lots of emotional pain and unresolved issues and unmet needs long-term in the relationship.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And we see that so often in the work that we do with our clients, that these patterns can become this self-fulfilling prophecy that starts to stack on itself, because once resentment shows up in a relationship, it can really become a relationship killer. And I hate to see that happen, but we see it all the time, where if people don't get the right support, the right help, if we check in on them later, like maybe 6 months down the road, sometimes they're already divorced or broken up from their partner because they didn't seek the help that they needed, get the right support and guidance, and they didn't know how to solve it on their own. And so sometimes they end up throwing the towel. And what breaks my heart the most about that is not only that relationship gets lost, people lose their best friends in that sense, their partners, people that they really love, but also if they haven't figured out how to stop those patterns, they just bring those patterns with them into the future, and so they're not really resolving anything in their own selves, in their own psyche, in their own hearts, in their own relationship patterns, and then they repeat it into the future without getting that really powerful help, which is such an honor and a privilege that we get to do to help folks who are on this journey. Anything else you wanted to add there, B, before we maybe start to talk about what are some things that folks can do about this?
I really appreciate, Kiri, that you mentioned bringing those unresolved patterns into future relationship, because this was definitely so true for me. Just one example, I had many disempowering patterns that I kept carrying and rolling up in relationships, was me being in the fixer and rescuer, because this is how I was conditioned as a child, and I unconsciously, unintentionally carried this in my relationships. And after maybe 5 or 6, I noticed that, hold on, I'm interacting with very different people. These relationships feel different, but after a while, I keep having the same disempowering emotions. We keep running into the very same problems. So what is happening? So I realized back then that it's not, it doesn't matter if I keep meeting new people, new situation, and change my environment. Something needs to change inside of me. I need to change my patterns. I need to break the cycle. I need to be the chain breaker of my own patterns. And since then, I keep having very different relational experience and keep having attracted to very different people compared to how I was in the past, because something changed inside of me. So that's so crucial. This phenomenon, what you talked about, what I call in my own mind is the story is the same. It keeps
Mhm.
repeating, only the players are different.
Mhm. I love that. I just put that in the chat too. Just that phrase that I need to be the change maker of my own relationships. And for you, B, how did you create some of that change? Was some of it when you first reached out to me, or what else was helpful for you?
But the first was an open mindset. I totally put my trust in you when you said that have the beginner's mindset, stay open to whatever comes, and trust the community and trust you. So with that, what happened is I first became aware of my patterns, because the transformation starts that because only what can be transformed is the specifics. So I started to get really specifics of the blocks that I had, or of the patterns that I kept running, of the disempowering beliefs. And that enabled me to change them, to shift them around, and to start conditioning brand new patterns. So this is also part of the observer consciousness, that we first notice and then we stop and then we create a brand new strategy. And I was at a place when I really needed real expert help, because
Mhm.
I learned so many things from books and from YouTube videos, but I understood that I need something more. I needed the guidance. I needed to save space for the change to happen, and I needed someone to hold me when I cried in the corner of my room, when I hit certain bumps on the road, because change may not be easy on occasions, and it can make all the difference if we do it in a safe space with the expert guidance that we trust. So this is how it
Mhm.
happens.
Yes, yes, and I so have from it. I mean, it's crazy to think that we've known each other now for over 3 years now. We got the opportunity to meet each other in Italy for gosh, almost 3 weeks, I think it was,
Yeah.
and I got to hug you in person. But that's what's so amazing, that because of the world we live in 2024 and technology, even over online. I mean, we can kind of like energetically give each other a hug and hold each other. And like you said, hold that sacred space and help people through some of the toughest moments of their lives, which again is an absolute honor and a privilege to be able to do that. Because let's face it, when we are coloring outside of the lines of heteronormative monogamy, it is not for the faint of heart. It is not easy to navigate some of the very, very intense emotions that can come up, whether that's insecurity or jealousy or anger, like you were speaking about earlier, or needing to release guilt and shame about who you are, learning self acceptance and self love. A lot of times we're not able to do that by ourselves. And also even sometimes working one on one with somebody, just that can create some help, but it might be very slow. So the work that we do is a very intensive process where it's a combination of an educational space that you go through on your own, as well as one-on-one coaching, as well as a group environment where you have that space where you do feel very held in a non-judgmental way. And that accelerates people's results. And we also have more fun that way, frankly. I mean, I think because you see that you're not alone, you're making friends, and you're inspired by their successes. It's a really powerful way to learn. So just in terms of how to move forward, a lot of the work that we do together is learning what are some of my patterns, what are some of my triggers, and learning how to self-soothe, regulate one's emotions, and learn how to pause in those moments where we might want to go into attack or defense mode, or that fight, flight, or freeze, like you talked about, and instead be able to take a deep breath and use the different tools that we teach and learn how to gather data, and again go into that observer mode where you can learn to notice what's actually happening, what's going on, and turn any disempowering narratives and learn how to transform those, look under the hood where those are coming from, unpack those. And that's a process that we take people through, is learning how to ask doubt-inducing questions and get to the heart of what's really going on, which is usually we're all trying to get our needs met, and our needs are all life-affirming, positive, and beautiful. And oftentimes we think our needs are in conflict, but usually it's our strategies to get those needs met that are in conflict. And we also help people learn how to communicate at that needs level and stop any of those arguing or having those same old arguments with our partners, and instead transform those into beautiful, amazing, connecting conversations, really getting to the heart of what's going on. Anything else you wanted to add there, B?
Yeah, to stack on what you just shared, Kay, what occurred to me regarding the observer perspective and this beautiful work that we do is that once we're able to take that step back from our triggers a little bit to self-soothe and learn new strategies, what also happens, there is high quality decisions. So instead of making decisions from a fear-based place, we can get aligned with our beautiful value system as well. And the other thing that I wanted to share that some of you might find relevant is me, compersion happened in the observer perspective when I created some space from my triggers. When I reached out to you, Kiri, over 3 years ago, I could not imagine that I could ever feel compersion. I was at such a paralyzed, anxious state, jealousy, possessiveness, all sorts of negative things were completely overloading my system. But with the help of those skills that you taught me, including the observer perspective, what happened is that I created that, to simplify, 2 awareness bubbles. Like in this bubble, okay, I want to work on these particular triggers, but at the same time, I can hold the other experience with this together, that I can also embody compersion. And this is what happened. So something that was absolutely unimaginable to me happened in that observer space, holding the 2 seemingly opposing experience together.
Beautiful. And I love that way you used your hands to just kind of show that there can be 2 truths at any time, but we get to be empowered and have that choice about what we focus on, because wherever we're putting our focus, we expand more of that. Wherever we focus, energy flows to that. So I really honor you sharing that and having this conversation. So if this is resonating with you, feel free to type in the comments, whether you're watching us live right now or later if you're watching this as a recording. And if you are looking for any help in your relationships, especially if you are coloring outside of the lines of heteronormative monogamy and you realize that you do want some expert help, you want some mentorship, you want some coaching, know that you are not alone and we are happy to help. And it all starts with a conversation, just like how I originally met B. She simply just booked an appointment with me, a free breakthrough session at this link here, lovingwithoutboundaries.com/apply. And that simply, if you go there, just takes you right into my calendar. Just find a time that works for you. There'll be a very brief form for you to fill out just to set us up for success on that call. So I get a little bit of context for our conversation. I still love the form that B filled out over 3 years ago, which is interesting to read now, right? Because there's been so much transformation that's happened since then. But that can be a powerful, amazing conversation that can literally be a turning point in your life, like it was for B. It can literally change the trajectory of wherever you're at and get you pointed in the right direction. So if you are looking for that type of help, know that help is out there. Myself and my team, of which B is a member of, we would be delighted to see if we are a fit to work together and put our heads together and have that conversation and come up with a game plan and a strategy to get you from where you are now to where you need to be, if we can help you with what you share with us on that call. And if we're not a fit, that's okay too. And I will do my best to steer you in the best direction possible. On my podcast, I've interviewed over 250 people at this point. So if I don't feel I'm the right person, I will do my best to make a referral to wherever can be the best person for you. Okay. So with that, just know that we are always excited to have these conversations. We do these Facebook Lives every other week on Mondays at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And anything else you'd like to add, B, before we sign off?
Yes, I just want to say that thank you so much, Katie, for this beautiful conversation. And I feel truly honored to be part of this community and part of the Loving Without Boundaries mission. And for any of you who this topic resonated and you feel that you might be struggling, you're in pain, you feel disempowered to create the life that you want, please know that there is absolutely a way to feel like you are the creator of your life experience, where life can be a joy, life or relationships can be a celebration. So just keep digging and find the right approaches that work for you, because the help is definitely out there.
Thank you, B, and thank you for this beautiful topic and for your time. And just know that I absolutely love you being a part of our team, and it is an absolute pleasure to be on this journey with you, helping the beautiful folks in our Loving Without Boundaries community. So with that, we will say goodbye for now. And again, if you're looking for help, feel free to reach out either at that link, lovingwithoutboundaries.com/apply, or if you're looking for community, feel free to come join us in our Facebook group, Loving Without Boundaries, Healthy, Open Relationships, and Lifestyle Freedom. You can also join our email list at my website, lovingwithoutboundaries.com, or follow us on our podcast of the same name as well. Okay. So with that, we will talk to you next time. Take care.